Today we're going to be talking about control of skeletal muscle contraction. We know humans need to move to stay alive, and we know that muscles are the motors that allow us to move. But it's not enough just to be able to move, we have to control the movement. For example, when we breathe, we have to contract the diaphragm to inhale, but it has to relax to exhale. Contraction of skeletal muscle is controlled by the nervous system. If we cut all nerves leading to skeletal muscle, it'd be completely relaxed, or a flaccid paralysis. Contraction happens only when nerve signals arrive at the skeletal muscle fibers. To understand how nerves control skeletal muscle contraction, we'll be looking at 3 different steps. The first step is a nerve impulse arriving at the skeletal muscle fiber. That nerve impulse is going to cause an electrical change in the skeletal muscle fiber, and then the electrical signal is going to cause contraction. The second step in the process is called excitation. So the link between the second and third steps is excitation-contraction coupling. We'll be looking at excitation-contraction coupling in the next video. Today we're going to focus on this first step. Motor neurons are long cells that have a cell body in the central nervous system and a long projection that reaches to a muscle fiber called an axon. When we decide to move a muscle, an electrical signal travels along the axon to the junction between the nerve and the muscle called the neuromuscular junction, or NMJ. At the NMJ, the axon doesn't actually touch the muscle, but there's a small space called a synaptic cleft. The end of the nerve axon is called the axon terminus, and the part of the muscle fiber next to the axon terminus is called the motor end plate. These white channels you see in the motor end plate are called acetylcholine receptors. And in actuality, there are a lot of acetylcholine receptors because the motor end plate is rippled. For simplicity, we'll just stick with the drawing we have. In the axon terminus, we see vesicles with a chemical or neurotransmitter called acetylcholine. When the electrical signal arrives at the axon terminus, calcium rushes into the axon terminus and causes acetylcholine to be released into the synapse. The acetylcholine diffuses across the synapse and binds to the acetylcholine receptors. And when that happens, the receptors change shape. These receptors are ion channels, and when they open, they allow sodium to rush into the muscle fiber, causing the voltage inside the cell to rise. As positive charge enters the muscle fiber, the cell becomes more positive. This is the initial electrical change in the skeletal muscle fiber that's going to lead to an electrical change along the entire fiber that will lead to contraction, and we'll be talking about that in the next video.